Hi everybody and welcome back. Now what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you one of the things that I've seen it's kind of popular in my channel for a channel as small as mine is texturing. Last time I did texturing in Substance Painter. Now we're going to be doing texturing in Photoshop. And actually just by texturing in Photoshop you can have a game ready asset. It probably won't be next gen, but this is a quick and easy way to texture your assets if you just have Photoshop in case you don't have Substance Designer. And this is just a quick way to go if you just need a quick asset for prototyping, or if you're going for the more painterly kind of stylized way that the Blizzard and that you can see in my portfolio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Jack's clothing for the purpose of this tutorial. The reason why we're using the clothing and not the skin is because the skin is pretty much one single thing, and the emissive, which I will show how to make emissives in Photoshop on a later video. But for now, let's just focus on regular textures. The other reason why I picked this one is because it has the two methods that I use for using my gradient maps. I'm going to go through everything, but just a brief introduction. We're going to be using several bakes, and we're going to be using ID maps. Okay, so as you can see here, I have my curvature, position, and world space normals. All of these can be baked in Marmoset Toolbag, can be baked in Substance Painter, in there's something called X Normal. If you have that, I think that one's for free, but I just baked this. So find a way to bake your maps, and if you want to know how I did those bakes in Substance Painter, there's going to be a link for a video that I made on that. You also probably need texture sets, because that's how I got to separate the clothing from the skin, even though they're coming into one single FBX. So that link is going to be in the description as well. So let's get started. You see that I've showed you the world space normal and the position map, but these guys are all black and white. There's a reason for that, and we're gonna go there right now after showing you the ambient occlusion. So my first layer for this is going to be ambient occlusion. So what I did is I just loaded the ambient occlusion, make sure it was clean. By clean, I mean no artifacts in places that are visible. When I talk about artifacts, I mean things like this, but no one's gonna see this, so I didn't mind cleaning that. Now, the next thing that I like to add is the position layer. And I like to add the position layer on the multiply setting for the layers. This is it's called blending mode, sorry. I use a multiply blending mode for this layer, and that way I can get this part, because if I turn it into normal, you can see that, you know, it doesn't look like anything. But if we turn it into multiply, it's going to take those dark portions and turn them down to the ambient occlusion. What's the reason for this is to give a little bit of subtle detail of shadows to our character. As you can see, what I did in the position map is I baked it from top to bottom. So that means that the bottom is going to be darker than the top. That's why you see things like the color is a lot brighter than, let's say, like the crotch part or like the bottom of his leg, of his pants, is because, again, I'm trying to bake that from top to bottom. Like, it's just a subtle detail. So how did I get a black and white map of position? You go into your position map, you go into channels, and because I told Substance Painter that my up and down axis was Y, which is the green channel, then I'm going to choose the green channel. You're just going to select this, Control Z, and you're just going to paste it. Make sure you're pasting it on layers. Make sure you're not pasting it on the channels. Paste it over here, and then you just select multiply and then play with this. Sometimes I may use 100%, sometimes I just diminish it, so it's the purpose is to get a subtle detail. It's not to get 100% of this layer. So Sometimes you'll see me using 100% for a very particular reason, but most of the times I go around 50 to 60%. There is, however, no set value for this. It all depends on the end goal that you want with your textures. Alright, here we go in the world space normal, and this is not like position. We need a black and white portion, so we're going to be using the channels, but we're not going to do the same thing that we did on position. We are going to pick one of these up. So, and this is mostly by previous tutorials that I watched, and this is how I learned this technique. Is when it comes to the world space normal, I usually pick the red channel. And the only reason that I have for picking the red channel, aside from that's how I learned it, is because if you look at the red channel and the blue channel, they do have a lot of shading in them. They do have a lot of shadows in various places where you probably don't want them. So I think the green channel is the most balanced. And the reason why we want the green channel in there from the world space normal, you'll see it very soon, and again paste it on layers, is this. So as you can see, let me get close somewhere. As you can see, like over here, this is one of the rolled sleeves from the jacket. Now if I turn this off, then you see all the detail goes away. So by doing this, it's like we're adding a normal map to our textures without adding a normal map, if that makes any sense. But you're making this thing look more 3D. So you're already adding, by adding this map, you're instantly adding all those shadows and all those highlights that will create, quote unquote, that 3D effect in your texture. So this is also what gives it that painterly look, is the fact that you already have some, not all, because you still have light irradiating on your model and reacting on your model, but this is what will give your model kind of that painterly look, along with the curvature layer, which we'll see very soon. This is pretty much the reason why I think is used. And again, I don't have a very specific reason like I do with the position map, because it's something that I learned and that I've been using over time. But for the purpose of creating this kind of textures, this is what one of the things that makes it. I guess another good example of that will be around here. So this is a kind of round piece that he has on the back of the jacket, but if I turn this off, you're gonna see that instantly goes away and we're left with just the crevices from the ambient occlusion. So I'm gonna turn it on, and again, it gives me that kind of roundness, kind of that 3D effect already in my texture. Now let's go with the last one, which is the curvature map. The curvature map, we're not going to touch the channels, we're actually going to pick the whole map. I'm gonna throw it here. And we're going to use the blending mode called hard light. So this is how it looks in normal. And we're just going to use the hard light blending mode. Why? Because it gives us this effect. Okay, so as you can see, seeing it from afar, curvature map does add that extra detail. Kind of like it makes it more crisp. Kind of those details that our textures already had. Now, this is way too much. And one of the things about curvature maps is they're sometimes very pixelated depending on how you render them. So what I like to do is I like to go and apply a little bit of blur. So you go to filters, blur, use Gaussian blur. And I use a 1.5. That's kind of, it's just a little bit of blur. You can call it like applying anti-aliasing to your video game. Kind of like that. I just want some anti-aliasing on this map. All right, I already applied the blur filter, so there's no need to do it again. And now what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the opacity enough so we still get that detail. Back when I learned how to do this, I remember the person who teach this used to use a very low value to give a subtle detail, and that's cool. That's this depends a lot on what kind of style you want to achieve for your character. So for me personally, and again, this is a personal decision, I like it around here where I can see more of that detail, more of that stitching, more of those crevices, because if you put it really low, then you kind of lose the detail a little bit. If you put it really high, I think it's way too much. So I usually go around here, 20s, 30s, because again, this is the kind of value that gives that art style that I like, where you can see the stitching, you can see what's going on, but you don't see like those like very harsh detail with high contrast. All right, these are the bakes, so just place them into a folder. Just click here. That's what I like to do. Now that we have bakes, let's start with the ID maps. You need to bake your ID maps. Either do that in Substance Painter or Marmoset Toolbag. I do mine in Marmoset Toolbag because for some reason they were not baking from Substance Designer. I have to look into that, but I do it from Max, and since I have Marmoset Toolbag for it, honestly, I haven't bothered to see what's wrong with Substance. But anyways, I digress. Now, the reason why I have this ID map is because I can go to my magic wand, and let's say we want to start coloring the jacket. I can just go with my magic wand and select this, hold shift, select this, hold shift, select this, like this, and I think we're good because this is just an extra from the top. And now what we can do is, I'm just going to disable that, go right here, down here, look over here, your lower right corner, and select gradient map. All right. Now it's going to give me an ugly gradient because it selects whatever it wants by default. But over here, you see that it generated not only a gradient, but it generated it with a mask already on. So that's because of the selection that I did in the beginning. Now, I already have several color gradients here that I usually use for the Emberbane characters, so I don't have to do them over and over and over. But let's just try to craft something from scratch. So what I'll do is the ones in the top row are the generic ones that comes with Photoshop. So I just like to pick this one because it's the most generic ever, black and white. And this is your gradient. So what's your gradient? Very self-explanatory. Gradient is a fade in between black and white. So you have your black, you have your white, and you have your in-betweens. Now what we're trying to do here is to define a gradient with different sets of colors. Like this one over here has different sets of colors. You can see that this is a little bit warmer, this is a little cooler. You have the reds, you have this one. I have this one for leather. I have this one for the skin of the guys on Emberbane. I have another type of leather. And I have various things that I use. So let's just go with black and white. And we'll do it from scratch. So whenever I'm doing my gradients, I like to start with 3 colors. So my darkest color, my brightest color, doesn't necessarily have to be black or white, and something in between. But I always start with something in between because the something in between is going to be actually my base color. So I'm gonna go here, and if you see, let's see pictures of Jack. His jacket's a little bit kind of like greenish. The color may be changing because of the lighting that I choose for this particular render, but the base color for this one's green. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to select hue. So this is H for hue, S for saturation, B for blacks. I'm going to go around here, and you can see the color changing here already. You can decide the saturation if you want a little bit more saturated. Never go full saturated, because that's not going to give you a good result when shining the lights on it. Let's light it up. Same here, never go full white or full black, just light it up. Whoops. Yeah, we want a kind of a dark-ish green. So I'm actually going to leave it around here. We're good on saturation, hue. So we could do blues. Yeah, let's just leave it over there. Let's see what happens when we're close to the yellows. Yeah, a little bit closer to the yellows, but not so much. Okay, so this is my base color. Now I have to define the brightest color and the darkest color. So I tried to go to the same place. So click here, let's see where we're at. So 96, 85, and 13. So I'm gonna go with 96 because that's my base color. Type here 96 just to get the same base color. And we're gonna go with saturation. Now this is fully desaturated. I'm going to saturate it just a tad so it's not 100% white, because you can see the difference here. Look at the shoulder pieces. See, now they kind of have a better specularity to it. Click OK. Now we're going to do darkest color. And never go full black or full white. Let's type 96 here. And this is still very, very dark and super saturated. So let's just move the saturation down a little bit. And move this up a little bit so it's not 100% black. Okay, kind of like where this is going, but I want to add 2 more colors, or maybe just 1, but we'll see. So let's add 1 here. So you gotta kind of have to go with logic. If your brightest colors are this towards this part, then you're gonna choose bright color for that. So it has to be a darker color than this one, so we diminish, go down the gradient, and we go up the gradient this way. So we're going down the gradient, that means that this is the brightest, then this is the next brightest, and we get to the base color. So I'm going to change this hue somewhere around here. And you can saturate it, desaturate it, or you can even change the hue if you wanted to. Let's experiment a little bit. Okay, so in here, now you can see what it's doing. And what if we invert these? It's gonna look funny. It looks like a photo negative. So let's put it back. Let's put them back what they were. So I see that this color is overpowering this one, and it actually doesn't look too bad. So let's put this color a little bit brighter, like that, and let's change the hue towards this one. Now this color is starting to act like the base color, so I'm actually going to move this one over here, and we're just going to use 4 colors instead of 5. Now we can reduce this one right here, like that. Put a saturation around here. Can make it darker like that. And let's see, maybe we just make it this. So you have to play with this, and there isn't one single value that I can give you, like, yeah, this is 100% what you need to do, because this all depends on how you want your character to look. I think I'm gonna add another color chip here. I just click here when the hand turns into, the cursor turns into a hand, and we can actually add another color over there. Okay, it's kind of looking like a photo negative. Let me see if we put it this way over here. And again, what you see me doing is, this is what I do, and it usually takes a while because I start experimenting and see what sticks, see what I like. kind of what that does. I kind of like what that does. So I'm just going to put it this way. It's a little bit shinier. It's a little bit brighter. There you go. Just going to make sure, I'm just going to reduce the sound, like bring it to 60% so it's not too dark. All right, we have that, and if you want to, you could actually save that as a PNG. Let's do that. And I'm gonna throw it on him just so you can see that it's starting to take shape. Now what I do is here in Substance Painter is I just drag and drop, and it's going to ask me what do I want the program to calculate this as. I'm going to tell it as a texture, and I'm going to save it to this project. You can save it to your shelf or to your session. I'd like to save it to the project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a fill layer, put it all the way down, and we're just going to throw that into the base color. And there you go. You got instant texture. And if you, let's say if you're in Unreal Engine, you can actually tweak the values for the roughness and the metalness. Right now, if I take it, there's no metalness here, so I can actually take the normal and leave the color and roughness. And if you want it to be very, very cartoony, you'll do what I do and put your roughness all the way up like this. Or you can actually, if the jacket is made of some sort of plastic, because right now it kind of looks like it's made out of some sort of plastic, you can actually reduce the roughness, and you don't have to do it in Substance Painter. If you're in Unreal Engine or if you're in Unity, you can actually control the roughness from within the engine. If you're interested in that video, just leave a comment, by the way. But so you can see this is already taking good shape. So what I'm going to do is go back here and show you the second way that I would go about adding my gradient maps. So we've already talked about using the material, not the material, sorry. Yeah, the material IDs or the map IDs, if you will. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to those secondary details, which are these, the sleeves and this kind of lines that we have right here in the jacket. The reason why they didn't get baked into a different color is because they were part of the same sculpted mesh, so it would have been very hard for me to separate them inside ZBrush for baking. Actually, it's easier for me to do it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my polygon selection, polygon lasso tool, and we're going to go this way. We're just going to use the ambient occlusion as the border for this. And I always like to go a lot outside. And this is just going to be a bunch of selection. Just not going to take long. And I'm actually going to just do the one and show you the results, and then I'll do the others myself and show you the final result. There you go. So we have that selection, and if we look at Jack, it's kind of like a reddish leather kind of deal over there. This jacket maybe might be a little bit more green than I want, but again, I could spend a lot of time tweaking this, which is usually what I do because I love the texture and part of making characters. So I'm just going to go to gradient map again, and I'm actually going to go and I'm going to select whatever for now. The reason why I selected whatever and not a final one is because right now this gradient map, it's actually having an effect on our bake maps. So we need to erase from this mask, and so this gradient map is not being affected by this one below. So what are we going to do? I'm going to hold Control, click on this one, then we're going to go on our mask below, click on your pencil, and you're going to delete that mask by painting black. There you go. mask gets deleted. We go back to our gradient map over here, and now we can select the gradient. So again, I'm going to start with black and white and a middle color, and I know where I'm going with this one. This one was a little bit more straightforward than the previous one. So I'm just going to select very dark red. Let's go here and do the same thing, but I'm going to go with a more brownish kind of look. And with this one, I'm not going to mind a lot. I'm just going to not make it full black. There you go. And if you want, you could do like this and add another color chip here. There you go. All right. Or you can just have already selected one by clicking on them. And the way you create one of this one, just click on new. And there you go. You have one created. If you want to get rid of it, just delete gradient. Or just make a selection, and this is why I like to save them, because I can just go through them all. And actually I have even more. They are just, I just formatted not too long ago, and I haven't put the ones that I have before from my previous characters here. But as you can see, this one has these colors over here, and that gives me this kind of red, which I think it's neat. Let's click OK. And I'm just going to select the rest of the lines, and I'll just speed this up so you guys don't fall asleep. Alright, this video is getting pretty long, so this is what I'm going to go, and again, this is just so I can show you how to quickly make these textures, and you pretty much imagine how I'm going to do the rest, because I just show you the two ways that I use for selecting and creating my gradient maps. So I'm going to save this again as a PNG. I always save it as a large font size, because when it comes to using the file for a game, you can always downsize. You can never go up. Or you can, but it doesn't look as good. Now, if you're using Substance Painter, all you have to do is click here and say reload. It's going to reload your image, and you just throw it in here. So what I did is I just finished the whole side of the sleeve portion, so you can see how it looks. I'm still missing the back portion because, again, it's all the same, but just to show you how it looks. At least the sleeve and top portion are looking very, very nice. All I have to do if I were to finish this is just go and do the selections around here. And again, you're getting some nice painterly textures right off the bat, but just using Photoshop. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, any comments, please make sure to leave them down below. And make sure to stick around because I have more content coming pretty soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.